Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto was the elder brother of Sirzechs Gremory and was betrayed by him. Hope you enjoy, and if you do, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
The younger devils were in an uproar, shouting things like liar or imposter. Their parents and older generation just looked on with disappointed looks at how ignorant they were being. Naruto just smiled, along with his peerage, at the chaos that he unleashed. His grin grew as he saw Sirzechs trying to calmly defuse the situation but failing miserably. After all those years of being a Satan, he still had little respect. Finally, Rias stepped up and spoke, causing everyone to quiet down and listen. "You're a liar!" she shouted. "You just want to use the Gremory name for fame and fortune. Just because you have red hair doesn't make you a Gremory." She then looked at his peerage and recognized 3 people. Leon and Narumi gave her big grins while Kuroyuki just gave her a small smile. Naruto chuckled. "Is that so? Then tell me this, why is it that I share the same hairstyle as you and your mother?" Rias tried to speak but Naruto continued. "If it isn't true, why hasn't your dear brother denied it?" Rias froze and turned to her brother. Sirzechs just turned away ashamed, and at that Rias knew what he was saying was true. "Why? Why, anyone tell me?" The rest of the young devils were just as shocked as she was. "Another Gremory? Why didn't they know? Where were you? Why didn't Tioyu-sama, Kaa-sama, or Unii-sama tell me about you?" Naruto just looked at Sirzechs and Grafia, who was standing near her husband. "Well, it is kinda a long story. You see, the he was cut off by Sirzechs." "Stop! Naruto, you can't tell them. Not yet at least." Rias didn't like that. "No!" she yelled. "Enough lies! Naruto, tell me why I didn't know about you from the beginning." Naruto nodded, happy to oblige. Finally the truth would be revealed to the underworld. "Well, if that is what you want," she nodded, "well, to start from the beginning." He then explained his whole story and from what he knew happened after he left. He told her and the rest at the party what happened. From him not being born with the power of destruction, Sirzechs perked up at this, to being neglected in training and family discussions because of it. Then to how he loved Sirzechs and did everything he could for him. To the Great War where he used his advanced teleportation magic. Then to the Civil War where he killed 2 of the old Satan's children. He then got to the part that shocked all devils who didn't know. He told them about him turning Grafia to their side and dating her after the Civil War was over, followed to her and Sirzechs sleeping together in his home. The room was shocked. Everything they knew was just proven a lie. So, Rias started with her hair shadowing her eyes, the Romeo and Juliet story. She looked at Sirzechs and Grafia with tears flowing down her face. "It was all a lie. You guys didn't fall in love at first sight," she yelled. Sirzechs nodded and looked away while Grafia struggled to keep her emotionless facade. Naruto laughed. "Ah, dear Imuto, there is no such thing as love at first sight. There may be people who get happily married after meeting the person who was their true love at first sight, they end up hating each other after a few years of not knowing who it was they married." Naruto explained. "Take Sirzechs and Divinelords for example. He refused to call them his parents. Just like this marriage contract, they were in one also. Sirzechs being from Gremory and Divinelords from Bale. A unity for strong devil houses. Things worked out at first, but as you can see, it was ultimately a mistake." Rias along with everyone else was stunned. Her parents were in an arranged marriage like she was. Did that mean they lied and said that they didn't want her to marry Riser? Were they just saying those things so they didn't look like the bad guys? After all, they haven't denied any of the accusations that Naruto was saying. "That's enough!" A angry voice yelled. "Enough of these interruptions. Riser is supposed to get married to Rias, and Riser will be married to Rias," Riser said. Naruto couldn't believe him. He was such a tool. "Never. There is the perverted idiot. I challenge you to a fight for Rias Buku's freedom." Naruto sighed. "Seems like this would still result in violence. I guess since everyone else is doing it, I wish to fight as well." Naruto shrugged his shoulders. He couldn't let this idiot mess with the wedding and shame 2 houses' reputations. Before Sirzechs could say anything, Ravel stepped up. The fight between Naruto-kun, Issei, and Rias will begin. The man and two womanizers were teleported to a special arena. Sana quirked an eyebrow at her affectionate suffix at Naruto's name. Ravel never liked men, so for her to use it must show some importance he had to her sister. None of the devils in the room noticed the disappearance of two female Phoenix members. Arena. Naruto looked at the battlefield and saw it was fairly small. There was no room to run and no objects to use as cover. This would just be an all-out brawl. Issei just looked around confidently. He had given up his left arm just for this moment. He didn't pay any attention to what Naruto was saying in favor of ogling at the women in the room. Issei. Drake said from within the sacred gear. Don't fight him. Why? Issei responded. I can't sense anything from him. He is just as weak as I am, but I have a sacred gear and he doesn't. Listen. Don't fight him. He will Issei cut the connection off, not wanting to listen to the lies Drake was saying. Rias didn't think much of Naruto. If his family tried so hard to keep his existence secret, he must be weak. The Crimson Flash must be something they made up to help cover up his weakness. The match between Naruto, Issei, and Rias Phoenix will now begin. Ravel's voice sounded out through the arena. Naruto face-palmed at her, calling him Naruto. He looked up and saw neither of his opponents moved. He smirked. This was going to be fun. Back in the wedding room, the match was being displayed on the wall for all to see. He's going to kill them. Grafia said with slight worry in her voice. Sirzechs shook his head. He won't kill those who haven't done harm to him or those he cares for. His peerage smiled as they knew it was true. But if it was us in there, we wouldn't make it out. Sirzechs said solemnly, with Grafia frowning as she knew it was true. Those that heard them dropped their jaws. Was Naruto so strong that he could kill the strongest devil and strongest queen? They suddenly felt bad for the two idiots in the arena. The oldest devil nodded their heads at what they said and then looked at Naruto's peerage. They didn't see anything unusual, as everyone seemed to be part devil, vampire, yokai, human, or in Kuroyuki's case, a fairy. They then finally saw Yasaka and realized just who she was. Yasaka noticed and grinned. Her grin then turned feral when she noticed some of the more younger, political devils recognized her and paled. Rias paid no mind to it, however. Her mind was currently on overdrive as her eyes had a dull look on them. Everything she ever knew was a lie. Layla was currently helping Ravel get into her wedding dress. Even if this wasn't a romantic-style wedding, Kayla couldn't help but be giddy at her daughter getting married. And to Naruto no less. She then noticed Ravel's expression. It was one of uncertainty and worry. What's wrong, dear? Ravel just looked at the ground. It's just that, how do I know Naruto-sama is a good guy? Layla sighed as she expected this from her. She never knew he existed until a week ago. Also, am I good enough for someone like him? He has all those beautiful women around him. I know this is just a political marriage, but I still want to be loved. Ravel said as a few tears fell down her cheeks. Layla pulled her into a hug and rubbed her daughter's back. Ravel returned the hug and cried in her mother's chest. I just want to be loved. Ravel said through sobs. Layla smiled at her. She just wanted love and affection. Ravel, honey. Ravel looked at her mom. You may not know Naruto, but I do. He is one of the, if not the most friendly, loving person. He always puts those he cares about in front of him. He doesn't ask anything for himself, but what others want, no matter who they are. Yes, he may have been a monster during the wars as the stories depicted him, but those who surrendered he let return home. He is above killing those who have kindness in their hearts and only fight to protect what they love. Ravel had a look of admiration in her eyes. He will never intentionally hurt someone who fights for good and protection of others. Ironic that he is a devil. They giggled at that. So what do you think of him now? Layla asked her only daughter. He is a good person. Any girl will be lucky to have him. Layla nodded. Come now. The match will be over soon and wouldn't want you to miss your wedding and honeymoon. Layla laughed at her daughter's flushed face. Naruto was not impressed. These two were a huge joke. If this was the younger generation's talent, they might go extinct. He was dodging their attacks with while his hands were in his pockets. Issei was the biggest idiot in the world. He gave up his left arm to drag in order to use his power. Did he not realize that he would need the dragon magic drained out of him or have his gear sealed to have his normal arm back for a limited time? He could also sense holy items on him. Those would have worked if he was facing Riser. They would not work on him. Sure, a slight burn and itching sensation will occur, but nothing major. All it was a small bottle of holy water and a cross. That would work against Riser, as he wasn't a mature devil who has developed resistance like he has. No doubt that another reason gave up his left arm to the dragon. Then there was Riser. No matter how much love Naruto had for the Phoenix family, he despised Riser. He heavily relied on his family's powers than anything else. All he did was throw fire around willy-nilly, hoping to hit him or Issei. He never used any other magic other than fire. He really hoped Ravel wasn't like this. But from what he saw, Ravel was a smart girl who understood the advantage of diversity. Naruto sighed as he dodged another sloppy punch from Issei. Time to stop playing around with. Naruto jumped back, leaving Issei panting where he tried to hit Naruto last, and Riser flying above him scowling at Naruto. This is fun and all, but there is a wedding to get back to. With that, Naruto disappeared from their view. He then reappeared crouched in front of Issei and kicked him in the chin, sending him up past Riser. Naruto flashed out of sight again and reappeared around Issei, kicking him higher up. This is a move from Narumi-chan. Naruto yelled as he hovered above Issei's beaten body. Naruto barrage, he kicked Issei in the gut, sending him flying to the ground. Upon impact, a giant crater formed. The people who were watching the fight were shocked, minus Naruto's peerage. Even the older devils. They knew Naruto was fast and could teleport, but he didn't use any magic to increase his speed. That was just raw speed. Not even Sirzechs saw him move. That was the scene Layla and Ravel walked in on, but went unnoticed as their attention was on the screen. Meanwhile, Naruto's peerage were smiling as he demolished Issei. Yasaka licked her lips, Akasha held her face as she had a faint blush, and Narumi was rubbing her legs together at Naruto's strength and the fact he used her technique. They then saw Naruto look at Riser and hold his left forearm with his right arm. Dark blue, almost black lightning started forming as the sounds of hundreds of birds chirping was heard. "What is that?" an older devil yelled. "I don't sense magic coming from that move." Another shouted. Sirzechs looked on with a calculating eye before Konako spoke. Something that shocked the whole room. "Chakra. You should really feel honored, Riser," Naruto said as lightning coursed around his arm. His left eye changing from blue to purple a few times till it settled back to blue. "This power is a gift from a friend of mine." Riser growled as he shot a wave of fire at Naruto, hoping to roast him. It proved useless as Naruto ran through the fire at speeds they could all see, with his arm dispersing the fire as he neared Riser. "Chidori! Squelch! Ah!" Riser screamed in agony as Naruto pierced Riser in the middle of his chest with his lightning-covered hand. He held his hand there, letting the lightning spread through his body, affecting Riser's regeneration. Stop! Riser pleaded. I concede." Naruto dispelled his attack and removed his hand. The hole in Riser's chest closed and he passed out from the damage of the lightning. "Naruto-chan is the winner," Sirafal said as the three were teleported back to the wedding. When he appeared in the room, he was greeted with clapping from the older devils, showing him respect, and astonished faces of the younger generation. Naruto smiled and headed over to his peerage, where Yasaka kissed him on the lips, which shocked those who knew who she was. Issei groaned as he started to wake up. Asia was next to him, healing his injuries as the rest of the peerage was around him to see if he was okay. "Now," Naruto started, "we have a wedding to continue." The room went quiet for the numerous time. Rias had a look of horror on her face. Sirzechs and Grafia were shocked. Rias's peerage were ready to fight if needed. "Where is the lovely bride at?" Naruto asked, looking for Ravel. Ravel was going to walk out from the back of the room, but Issei had other plans. "You sick freak! How could you force your own sister into a marriage with a guy like Riser?" Naruto sighed. "This kid never quit. I will protect Rias no matter what. 10 seconds is all I have. Issei thought. Issei clenched his hand that had his sacred gear. Drake's voice shouted through the hall. Balance breaker. Boosted gear. Everyone was wide-eyed at the transformation. Minus a few. Issei charged at Naruto. Bucko will never marry Riser. Issei yelled as he neared Naruto. As Issei was within arm's reach, Naruto shoved his right arm through Issei's armor and chest, where purple/black lightning crackled around him. Issei's balance breaker shattered to pieces as he was pierced. He coughed up blood. I gave you a chance to stop and you continued to attack me. You are an idiot. Naruto said as Rias's peerage was shocked and Asia was in tears. To piss me off to where I had to use my demonic lightning manipulation must say a lot about how retarded you must be. Naruto hasn't used his demonic powers in years. For him to use it on this garbage was just a waste. As Issei slipped off Naruto's arm, he was caught by his sacred arm, suspended in the air. Drake, I would have thought you would have warned him of fighting me. Naruto spoke. The gem in the gauntlet glowed. I tried warning him but he didn't listen. Drake spoke, shocking many. It was not my fault as this boy's emotions control him and nothing can get him to change his mind. Naruto nodded. I understand but I am sorry for what I am going to do. Naruto said. I won't kill him like yours and Albion's previous hosts but I can't let him use your power until he controls himself. That had many wondering what he was going to do. Narumi. He called and Narumi appeared next to him. She nodded as she knew what he wanted. Naruto then lifted his shirt as Issei watched hanging in the air with his chest still bleeding. Narumi then stepped forward. I hate this technique for what it did to me, but it must be used as you are still immature. She said. She then held her hand back, her hand formed like she was holding a ball. 5-pronged seal. Narumi shouted as she thrust her fingertips into his stomach. Issei flew back coughing up blood as he felt energy swirling around in his body. Then he felt pain in his left arm. When he looked at it, he saw his sacred gear was gone and he had his normal, fleshy arm back. He sighed before passing out not knowing the significance of the sacred gear being gone. What did you do, Naruto? Sirzechs asked. Without looking at him as he walked to the altar, Naruto responded. We sealed his sacred gear. He will not be able to call upon it unless we remove that seal on his stomach and Narumi is the only one who can use that technique. People looked at him and Narumi in awe. Now, we still have a wedding to continue. Before anyone could shout or oppose, Ravel acted quickly. I am here, Naruto-sama. Everyone turned to her and saw her in a beautiful wedding dress. Ravel-chan, please don't call me Sama. After all, we are going to be husband and wife. Ravel cheeks flushed red. What do you mean husband and wife? Questioned Rias. Well, isn't it obvious? Naruto retorted. This wedding is for me and Ravel-chan here. Why? Was her intelligent reply followed by many. You see, dear old Sirzechs and Divinelords made a big mistake with the marriage contract. Naruto explained. They said the marriage will be between the heir of the House of Gremory and the opposite gender of the child born from the House of Phoenix. He paused to let it sink in. So, I am the heir to the House of Gremory and Ravel is a woman. Ravel blushed at being called a woman, so we are to be Wednesday. Sirzechs stepped forward. You can't be the heir as me and Divinelords named Rias the heir. Divinelords nodded at her husband's words. Listen here, started Naruto. You can't name an heir without the approval of the elders of the clan. And since Ojizan and Obachan are the elders, I think that right belongs to me. His grandparents nodded in agreement. So now we will continue with the wedding. Naruto said. No one else protested as it seemed everything was answered that was important. The wedding started with Naruto using his magic to change his clothes into a nice-fitting tux. His peerage doing the same but with dresses. The minister went on with the usual banter as all the devils took their seats and Naruto and Ravel stood before the minister. Ravel-chan. Ravel looked at Naruto who whispered at her. I know we might not love each other and you might not like me, but just know that I won't ever do anything that you don't want to do. He told her as he looked at her. She was absolutely beautiful. Not on Yasaka's or Akasha's level yet, but she looked exactly like a younger version of Layla. I know Naruto-san. Ravel replied. My mother told me all about the kind of person you are. She looked away a bit. I would be lying if I said I didn't find you attractive. Naruto smiled. Take Ravel to be your wife. The minister said to Naruto. I do. And do you, Ravel? I do. They looked in each other's eyes. I know pronounce you husband and wife. Naruto put his hand under Ravel's chin and tilted her head up. Ravel closed her eyes in nervousness as this was going to be her first kiss. Naruto leaned down and gave her a passionate kiss on the lips. Ravel melted at the feeling and soon returned it as she wrapped her arms around his neck. The room erupted in cheers from all except one. Sirafal was pouting at Ravel getting to kiss Naruto before her. The after-party went great. Guests enjoyed drinks, cake, and delicious meals. They left after a few hours of the party. All that remained were Naruto and his peerage, the Phoenix family, the Gremory family, the Citri family, and the remaining Satans. Naruto was getting something to drink when he felt Graphia approach him. What do you want? He said with malice and as much disrespect as possible. I just wanted to talk to you. She answered. Yasaka and Akasha noticed from where they stood and listened in. I want to apologize for dash. Let me stop you there. Naruto interrupted. I don't need an apology. Because there is no need. She felt hope filling her chest. I simply just don't acknowledge you anymore. All hope was gone. I guess the Lucifuge clan will always serve Lucifer no matter what. Oh wait. There is no Lucifuge clan, is there? The last of that clan married a Gremory and took his name. He took a sip of his drink. Real shame too. They were a great clan except for serving Lucifer. Too bad they're all dead. I would have never let them die out. Naruto emphasized. She was shocked. He would have let her keep her maiden name. Now she was torn. Sirzechs didn't even ask if she wanted to keep the name Lucifuge. Michael stepped forward. Now that we are alone, we have something to announce. He said. Naruto is now the head of the Gremory clan. The people present dropped their food, drinks, or whatever they were holding at the time. What? Yelled Sirzechs. What are you saying, father? You can't do that. I am the head of the clan. Liliana spoke. Yes, we can, Zo-kun. This is how it has been since the clan and any other clan was founded. When the heir of the household gets married, they take head of the house. It happened when your father married me and when you married Venelana. The other households nodded in agreement. And also comes the punishment of ignoring your child. Michael said. This shocked them. You, Sirzechs and Venelana are to become servants of the Gremory house for neglecting Naruto and abandoning him in favor of Sirzechs. This time Sirzechs spoke up. I can't allow that to happen. They, along with Rias, cannot be servants. I won't allow it. You have no say in this, Sirzechs. Naruto said. You are Lucifer. According to the rule that you made, a Satan is not allowed to interfere with clan matters. If you step down from Lucifer, you can get involved but will be treated the same as you mother and father. Along with you loyal wife and child, since they both have taken the Gremory name. Sirzechs stopped as he didn't want his kid to be told what to do. Ironic as he told everyone not to talk about Naruto. And what of Rias? Sirzechs asked. You're going to have her suffer the same fate when she had nothing to do with it. Sirzechs asked. Rias looked scared that she would lose everything. No. Naruto said. While I don't approve of the way she did things to acquire the pervert in Asia, including her debating if she should revive Asia without her gear, I will give her a choice. Naruto turned to Rias. You can remain in the human world under my supervision. That means if you want to do anything, it has to be run by me, as Japan is not owned by us and I can't have you ruining affairs with the yokai faction. He paused. Or you, including your peerage as they are under your care, can share the same fate as your parents and be servants to the main house of Gremory. Rias thought about it for a moment. While her parents and brother lied to her about almost everything, Naruto did mess with her plans for the wedding even if he had everything under control. What about Issei? I need his sacred gear if anything happens. She tried to protest. Naruto snorted. He has no control over his sacred gear. He lets his emotions control him. What do you think is going to happen when something drastic happens? His gear has the power to kill a god if used right. What happens if he is blinded by rage? Naruto answered as she flinched. His gear stays sealed unless I deem him fit to use it on his own, or it is a life and death mission. You have already proved unable to control your mutated bishop, why should I trust that you can control a boy who lets his penis think for him? She put her head down as she knew it was true. Issei gritted his teeth in anger. How could you talk to your own sister like that? He shouted. What kind of brother are you? Naruto gave him a cold glare that froze him. What do you know? Did you get turned away for your younger brother because of something that was out of your control? Sirzechs looked down. Did you help end a great war and watched as your parents praised your brother, not acknowledging that it was you who helped? His grandparents glared at Sirzechs and Divinelords. Did you spare a woman's life and show her endless love only for her to sleep with the same brother that your parents loved more than you? His peerage, Ravel, and surprisingly Ravel, glared at Grafia as her heart felt like it was being squeezed. Issei couldn't find anything to say. That is why I am like this. When you are betrayed by the ones you love, you don't care for them anymore. You should understand. Rias did let you die so you couldn't protest being in her peerage. Rias looked even more ashamed. I don't care. Rias Buku is a good person. I'm happy I'm part of her peerage. Issei proclaimed. Good for you. Naruto said, not caring about him. What is your choice, Rias? This was a tough choice for her. She wanted to be her own person. That was the reason of going to the human world in the first place. But then again, she was in charge of her peerage and don't want them to be servants. I accept to your terms of being monitored in the human world. Naruto nodded. Then it is settled. As my first action as head of the House of Gremory, I will watch over Rias in the human world. I leave Michael Gremory and Liliana Gremory in charge of affairs here in the underworld. Everyone nodded, understanding the decision. But first, Naruto said. He reached behind him and pulled out 2 rings. He tosses them to Rias. For choosing your peerage over your pride, Asia can have her sacred gear back. Rias nodded and gave the rings to Asia. Naruto, his peerage, and Ravel, along with Rias and Sana's peerage, teleported to the human world. It had been a week since the wedding events took place. In that time, Naruto and Ravel went on many dates to see if they connected. She was surprised at how welcoming his peerage was. It turns out, that just like him, she believed that hard work made you strong and not family power or natural talent. They hit it off extremely well, to the point where they would openly kiss in front of others now. Mocha and Kunu took a liking to her really quick, opting to call her Oni-chan. They were ecstatic to have another person that they could play with. Meanwhile, Rias was kept on a tight watch and was only allowed to do peerage activities when Naruto allowed. It mostly resulted in training and dealing with strays that really only needed one of them to handle. Issei didn't like that. He confronted Naruto, trying to force him to stop all his restrictions. Naruto responded by shooting lightning in his junk, making him impotent for the remainder of the month. That was the most troubling thing that happened. That led to what was going on now. Naruto had appointed Kuroyuki and Satellaizer to watch over Rias and Sana as they wanted to go to the familiar forest. Both Sana and Rias wanted to go to the familiar forest, and Naruto decided for them to have friendly game of tennis. That didn't work as they destroyed the court. Now they were just finished the second match, dodgeball. Rias ended up winning, but both teams destroyed half the school as a result of using their magic. Issei was easily taken out as he was distracted when Sana's pawn lost her top and was ogling her breast when he was drilled in the privates with a dodgeball from Sana, and again from Satellaizer as he was staring at her during the tennis match. Kuroyuki stepped forward. Rias is the winner. Per the agreement, her and her peerage will be allowed to go to the familiar forest. Sana's peerage will have to repair damages to the school for losing. Everyone either nodded or groaned, as some were in pain from being drilled with dodgeballs. Things were going great. Asia just got a small, blue sprite dragon familiar. It was very protective of her and despised males. Especially Issei. Anytime he went near Asia, he shocked Issei quite painfully. Ironic since she named him Rasia after Issei. Now they were being covered in green slime that destroyed clothing. Kuroyuki used fire magic to burn it while Satellizer shocked it. When they turned to Rias and her peerage, they shook their heads in disappointment. The women were struggling to get the slime off with their hands instead of using magic, while Issei was crying tears of joy trying to get the slime to be his familiar. He then looked over at Satellizer and Kuroyuki and frowned as they weren't covered in slime. Kuroyuki was furious at what he was thinking and summoned her scythe, hit him with the back of it, sending him crashing into a tree. "You pervert! Have you learned nothing? Trying to leer at us?" Kuroyuki saw red at what he said next. "Why would I want to look at your flat chest?" Kuroyuki was going to kill him if it was for Satellizer stepping in. She gave Kuroyuki a look and she nodded in understanding. "You don't understand the situation," Satellizer said. "What do you think Naruto would do if he found out what you just said?" Issei paled. He was still unable to get erect because of his last meeting with Naruto. Satellizer smiled evilly. "I'll show you what he would do." Issei's screams could be heard through the familiar forest as Satellizer stomped on his family jewels for the remainder of the trip. Naruto was looking outside the sliding door to the backyard smiling. This was all he ever wanted. He enjoyed moments like these. He was taken out of his thoughts when Psycho walked up to him. "Naruto-kun," Psycho started. "I have information about the church." Naruto nodded for her to continue. "They are sending 2 holy sword users to search for them here. They will arrive within the next few days. Also, word is that Fried and Valper are working together." Naruto nodded. "Thank you, Psycho-chan. You can relax for now. We have a lot to do in this next few days." She nodded and went to her room. Now he had to get ready for the exorcists to get here and prepare for the meeting. Maybe have Rias there to show her how to be diplomatic instead of always causing a scene. Naruto sighed as he looked in the backyard where Kunu, Mocha, and their mothers were having a nice lunch together. The rest of his peerage was swimming or sunbathing. He took a moment to think about how his life got to be this way and how he met all these wonderful people. It was all thanks to Offai's and her blunt ways of doing things.